I really like the direction that the responses are headed because we're almost seeing sport itself, I think, waking up to the possibility of being a leader and not to focus completely on the IOC here, but Agenda 2020, which is the new policies that they've taken on by themselves as an organization, do talk about being a global leader in sport, which I think is really important. I mean, there's two pieces there. They've talked about being a global leader in a social institution that they believe can foster social change. And they've taken that on as a policy that they have been largely responsible for creating. So I think that's important as well. There is this piece within the Agenda 2020 where they say they've talked to, I think, 40,000 people around the world, many stakeholders, many big transnational organizations, and they feel like their own legitimacy and viability is tied to being attached or being a social institution that makes change. And so I think that's pretty crucial. And I think the nice thing we can do as researchers and academics is to push them. They've said it, they've written it down, and all we have to do is point to it on a consistent basis. And I think we can help be responsible for these powerful actors making a difference. I'll just reiterate the fact that I really believe that sport is a social institution that's become increasingly prominent. And I think it's begun to notice that it has a powerful voice. And that's a positive piece. If I could turn the example a little bit to talking about the cancellation of the 2020 Olympics or the postponement, I suppose. I think it's a kind of an interesting moment where you have a host in Japan that has an international reputation for peace. And it has been a global leader. And we have an IOC that, as I just mentioned, has put out a policy that says that they want to be sensitive to being a global leader in sport, helping to make change. I think the combination of those positions, the cancellation or the postponement of the games, as an opportunity, which I think is very strange language. I realize that postponing the games is an opportunity, but I really think that it should be considered very, very carefully. And in its stead, instead of bringing elite amateur and professional athletes together, I suggest that they host. But I think what they can host is something very different. And that is a gathering, or not a gathering, but a convening of folks, not in a physical sense, around key sustainability issues internationally. And we could talk about the Sustainable Development Goals. We could talk about peace. We can talk about equity. We can talk about all of these things in as a replacement to an athletic event, and the purpose being to show sport in its many dimensions, some of which are new. And so I just really encourage this idea of sport accepting the fact that it has ascended as a social institution and has the opportunity to be a leader at a time when we need leadership, in a time when some of our traditional institutions like family, like religion, like education are struggling to be a voice. Sport is not having that difficulty right now. And so that might be a kind of response to a real world event and a conversation that's going on right now.